Peace and blessings to anyone watching this video right now. My name is Malik, and today I just want to talk about the importance of knowledge of self. And that's another one of those trendy things that you hear in, the so-called conscious, so-called spiritual community. But what does that really mean? To me, what it means is understanding that everything that you need to accomplish your wants, needs, and desires is inside of you. Not just to help you pay the bills, not just to help you get by, but your desires, I want to own a mansion, I want to own all these properties, I want to build wealth, I want to do all these things that you imagine. You understand that everything that you need to get to where you want to be is already inside of you. But the only reason why you can't reach it is because of fear and doubt that we built up over the time, over the years. We doubt ourselves. We have fear because we don't know who we are. Because once you know who you are and understand that everything that you need is inside of you, then you'll no longer have that doubt. You should never ever, those scenarios you see in like a teen show with men or teenage boys. And it's like they're going to talk to a girl for the first time, and they're getting nervous, and they're debating on what they should say and stuff like that. In real life, that shouldn't even be a thing when you know who you are, because what are you nervous about? What are you scared of? How could you fear rejection if you know who you are? Because getting rejection shouldn't even bother you. Not to say you're going to be irrational or whatever and not be self-aware, but that comes with it. Self-awareness comes with knowing who you are. So if you were to be rejected, you shouldn't even take it any type of way, because you would just say, man, I know who I am. So if who I am is not right for you, then that's cool. And you would just keep it moving. You wouldn't be in the house all day like, man, I wonder if I should have said this differently. I wonder if maybe it's because I look like this, or maybe it's because I was wearing this or that. You wouldn't have none of those thoughts, all those doubts, all those, you wouldn't have any of that, because you would just know who you are. You would be like, man, I know. Again, not being cocky or irrational, just, you wouldn't have an overreaction. You shouldn't be, getting too worked up over that. And that results in many different scenarios. You're going to an interview for a job. Why are you nervous? If you know who you are, you know that, hey, I can do the job well, or I'm excellent, or I'm deserving of this position. Same thing with like starting a business, whatever it might be. What is there to be nervous about once you know who you are? And to understand where this nervousness comes from is the purpose of shadow work. To understand where these blockages, where you could say like, oh, I'm blocking my blessings, is through shadow work. You have to get to the bottom, pause. You got to get to the bottom of why you do the things that you do. Why is it that when opportunities come up, you block them away subconsciously without knowing it? Because you think that it's some force that's in the way, but it's you that's in the way. It's you that's not ready for it. It's you that can't imagine yourself in this scenario. You're saying, why am I always around bad people? Why am I doing this? Why am I that? Like, why can't I find a good job? Why can't I do this? It's not 100% black and white. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times it's you. It's like you're not ready for this lifestyle. You don't feel worthy of it on the inside for whatever reason. You have to find the reason behind that. Then that nervousness goes away. And that's the whole point, of the shadow work, especially the inner child work. Because your inner child is when you're using your imagination the most, and that's what you need, because so a man thinketh, so it be. So you need to be able to imagine the lifestyle that you want first before it could even be. Before this hoodie was made, the designer behind it had to think about the design. Before this hat was made, same thing. Someone had to think about making a hat with this shape. They had to think about that before it was even a thing, before it can materialize. You have to do the same thing. That whole phrase, reach for the stars, you'll land on a cloud. We don't even do that a lot of times. Our cloud be so low. It'd be like, man, if I could just get a car. We're not even, sometimes we talk about it like, if I could drive a Lamborghini and stuff, because we might be influenced by the rappers and stuff like that we see. But in our mind, we still don't even feel worthy of that truly. We're just kind of trying to mimic them because we think that they're cool. But a lot of times we're just in survival mode. We're just, if I could just, get to my next meal, if I can just, get a car, if I could, like, you know, we're not even thinking of saying, ooh, I wish I could have I not even wish. I'm going to go get a Lamborghini. And, you know, that's your reaching for the stars. And not being able to get it, you might end up with like a brand new Beamer or something. And that's still something amazing to have. That's something that people will kill or die over. And not to make this about something material, it's just an example. How can you have a successful business if it's not even in your mind first? Or if you can't even imagine having a business and businesses and stuff like that? Or how can you get a job? Same thing. It's not even in your mind to be that I'm going to go in there and go ace this interview. You're nervous. What is there to be nervous about? It's really only that they're either going to like you for who you are and want to hire you, or they're not. And it's really either going to be you're going to do the necessary things to make your business successful, or you're not. There's no like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? You're going to be the one to either make it happen or not. And ultimately, it's just understanding that you already have everything you need to make it happen. You know, anytime if you pay attention to everyone's success story and just listen to what they talk about, they always talk about, you know, their trials and tribulations, and then one day just something clicked. You know, you can see it right now if you watch the Wu-Tang show. You can literally see RZA and the other characters going through their trials and tribulations, and then what he is showing you is when he realized, like, man, I'm bringing together people who don't like each other. You know, they're in real street wars. I'm trying to make it into an industry that just kicked me out, and it wasn't successful for me. You can literally watch him realizing that I already have the tools. Like I've already done it. So I showed myself I already have the tools to do what I want to do and do it my way. That whole show is kind of showing you his realization that I can do anything. You know, I want to make this Wu-Tang group happen. And he's literally showing you like how against the odds it might be, how it is some 1 in a million thing, but it was possible. And it all started in his mind. And the more he learns about himself, you can see it in the show, the more he's accomplishing things, the more he's bringing together people who don't like each other, the more moves that he's making in the industry. So, yeah. That's basically the gist of the video right there. Getting to understand that everything that you need is inside of you. Getting to the knowledge of self. How do you do that? Well, I would suggest what I had to do was first, you know, everybody's different, but I just suggest you go on your own path, however, you know, it may be. I'm just giving you my suggestions. I started off with genealogy. Once I started, you know, learning more about my ancestors and stuff, because memory is in the DNA. So things that they did and mastered are things that you can already do, and they pass it down to you genetically. That's why even if you don't have a good relationship with your parent, people are always telling you that you're just like them, because memory is in the DNA. You know, there's a Kendrick song about it. It's called DNA. You can listen to it for a better understanding. But so when I was tracing my genealogy, I saw that I come from a lot of businessmen, a lot of people, and businesswomen. My grandma was a businesswoman. Her great grandfather was like one of the first, you know, merchants back on the island. On my dad's side, you know, I'm coming from businessmen as well. So just knowing that in my mind, I'm like, you know, why not just go into business? And it might not be like that for every single scenario. Don't just make it black and white. Like another example, my grandfather told me before he left Jamaica, he wanted to get into graphic design, but he never really could do it. And it was still, graphic design was going to be a new thing at that time. And you know, because it's Jamaica and probably not having the best technology back in the 70s or wherever time he's referring to. I studied graphic design in school. My little brothers do digital art now. That's the memory in the DNA. Just knowing that can make it easier for me to make a career choice. Like, well, the idea or the passion for graphics is already in our DNA. The same way a rapper like Drake, his dad was a musician. It's easy for him to be a musician. It's in his DNA. And there's things like that for you that you just need to find out about. You know, you could be searching for the thing that's going to make you a millionaire, and it could just be doing hair. It could just be, you know, some skill that you already have. Your great-great-grandfather could have been a house builder, and you come to find out that you're good at building houses too. So that was one of the things that helped me. Then after that, it was shadow work. And shadow work was is what helps you relieve the nervousness and doubt, because you get to the root of your problems. You first you have to realize that you are in your own way a lot of times, and you have to realize that when opportunities present itself, you are the one that's blocking your blessings subconsciously. And then you have to realize why. Why am I doing this? Why is it that when somebody is like, yo, there's this event coming up, you want to this and that, you start pointing out all the negatives before the positives. You're already sabotaging yourself, or you're already killing the idea before you can even get there. Oh, I don't know because this and that. That stems from something in the past that, we learn through repetition. So repeatedly in the past, when you had a big idea or you wanted to do something, even as a kid, you probably were just like, man, I wish I could be a cowboy in space. And somebody was like, man, shut the hell up. Ain't no cowboys in space. It could be hearing things like that over and over, somebody killing your dreams, that now when you're an adult, the minute that you go to somebody's like, yo, here's this opportunity, your mind goes back to, shut the hell up. Ain't no cowboys in space. And you start self-sabotaging, like, I don't know about that. It might not be my crowd of people. It might not be this. You should start looking for all the negatives. And that is a clear tell sign that you don't know who you are. Because once you know who you are, you won't be looking for external things to add value. You won't be looking for people to add value to you. You'll realize that you have all the value and that you can accomplish anything. It's lifting the chains off your mind to allow yourself and your imagination to reach farther. Because right now it's blocked. It's very limited. You're imagining, you're in a survival mode, just getting by day to day. You're imagining how you're going to pay your next bill instead of imagining like, man, what if bills were not even a problem for me? You can't even hold on to that thought for too long. You're going to say it's unrealistic because you don't believe, that's not something you believe you're worthy of, or believe that's something that you can accomplish. You don't believe you could be a person with maybe, you're flipping houses or something, and the most that you're doing is having to make sure that a landlord is fixing the houses that you flip, and your day to day is very easy. You can't even imagine that right now in whatever you're doing, because it's not our minds are limited. And don't get me wrong, like I'm saying this as in like I'm better than someone or better than you or whoever's listening. Like, these are things I had to realize in myself. I definitely did a lot of self-sabotaging before, I got a hold of that I don't have to do that anymore. And that's the whole point of this. You start to eat healthier, and that's when you start to put the value back on yourself. You start to think differently. You start to detach from certain things, certain mindset that helps you start to regain your mind. And then you start going deeper into the science of you, start learning about yourself, why you do things, why you like things, why, and that's all a part of shadow work and stuff. And eventually, the work is a lifetime work. Things gonna happen to you in your 20s and teens and stuff, and as long as you live, and you're gonna keep building different experiences and things like that. So something traumatic might happen at 25, like a car accident, that you need to be dealing with when you're 45. So the work is never done, but it's acknowledging that there is work to be done. It's acknowledging that, it's just it's just acknowledging that there is work to be done, and that's the first step. So hopefully this video helps. Just get into the science of yourself. Once you have knowledge of yourself, you will no longer be looking for external things to help you get to where you need to be. Anything that you can imagine, it will no longer be like something that's super far out of reach. You'll start to say, man, I can do that, because you believe in yourself and you know that it could be done. Why can't it be done? Why not you? Have you ever asked that? Why not you? Why can't you do it? What's stopping you? You might come up with a list of excuses, but are those really excuses? Do you know how many successful people, all they talk about was how much debt they were in, how they were a dropout? These ain't like, not everybody is the Donald Trump coming from a trust fund. A lot of these people talk about, coming from these trials and tribulations, but that's all part of the journey. We all gonna have ups and downs, but it's just how you navigate the road. So just gonna end it off there. Peace and blessings to anyone watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's a specific video you want me to touch on. Peace.